Hi, this time I'm here with Tanya from SMTA headquarters, as well Dr. Ansel from Rochester Institute, and myself, Victor Madero, president of the SMTA chapter, Juarez and Chihuahua. This time we want to talk about the future with the Mexico SMTA shows and what is the collaboration in regarding to the education.
I think looking forward into 2024, Mexico continues to be such a focal point in the manufacturing industry. We're definitely going to want to be looking into the different regions and spaces around the country to make sure we're filling the gaps and being where all the manufacturing is growing and is coming to.
And now, what you can say about the headquarters collaboration with the SMTA?
So the board of directors for the SMTA is aware of the growth that's happening in Mexico, clearly, and we want to support all the chapters in Mexico as best that we can. Specifically for the Juarez chapter, there's been a big push to collaborate with universities to do education. And the SMTA is a membership of very skilled engineers in the electronics industry, right? So a number of years ago, when I was on the board of directors, I started the training committee. And the training committee spearheaded the development of our 101 level courses that are on our website, right? So any member can go and do English language asynchronous courses on the website. They're captioned in Spanish, but we recognize that is not the best solution, right? So there's interest in collaborating with the local universities and the local chapters, and Juarez specifically, to utilize course materials that, quite frankly, took us years and years to develop, that were evaluated and qualified by engineers that have worked in the industry 20, 30, 40 years, not just one company, 3, 4 companies that do stencil printing, all evaluated the course materials and is narrated by an expert, and take that content and say, how can we offer this content to the Juarez chapter in a way that can benefit the region here? So we're a nonprofit association, right? So we want to do things that are mutually beneficial to the headquarters, to the board of directors, because what that also allows is it allows people like Ana, right, that we hired, HQ hired. She lives in Mexico, supports the Mexican chapters. The only way we can do that is if we do joint projects together that can benefit programs like that, right? And quite frankly, continue the education development, like more courses, 200 level courses that are being developed through HQ that can eventually be shared with chapters. And, you know, we're trying to overcome, quite frankly, the language barrier, right? We're neighbors, and we want to provide this content to Mexico, but it requires translation. And that's where the local universities and the local chapter come in. So it's a partnership, and we want to continue doing that. And I'm only in this presidency for another year and a half in 2024. Towards the end of 2024, I'm done. So I want to have a few of these things happen and really be launched before I complete my presidency. You know, I'm sure the next president, every year we have new board members. So, and we're a board of members. Everybody that's on the board, they're not getting paid, right? They're volunteers, and they have the same mission as any chapter does, right? To improve education, provide benefits, and they're gonna finish their 6 years and go back to the chapters they came from, right? So we're trying as a board, it's changing every year. You're gonna have a new president in a year and a half, but the goals are the same. And I'm trying to clarify those goals too at a board level. So when I leave, that we're still moving in the same direction. Yeah. So I know I probably said more than you asked, but this is It's not a prepared speech, but it's something I've said many, many times. I've been president for 2.5 years. I was on the board for 6 years, and I've been thinking about these things for a long time. And these are things that I, as a president of the SMTA, have made it my mission to direct the ship in that direction.
So I think in our chapter here in Juarez, we follow in these kind of rules, right? Being on the educational, create this kind of community. I think SMTA in Mexico is more like a community right now. It's bigger communities, not only Juarez, Chihuahua. There's Querétaro, there's Monterrey, there's Tijuana, there's Guadalajara. So Tania, in regarding of that, what you can say about the next shows coming to Mexico?
How to answer that? I think we need to look at what's really bringing forth a lot of benefit to the community, to the chapters, for the amount of work that's going into to a lot of these events. But it's also bringing something of new topics, right, and new speakers to their different regions, and finding out what the things are that they need to learn about, and that we can help spread some of that expertise from different regions of the U.S. or different regions throughout the world, in bringing expert speakers and subject matter experts and new topics to the region. There you go.
I think Mexico has a lot of knowledge, right? So I think it's also because it's, the SMTA is chapter driven, right? Finding those speakers within Mexico and sharing those across the various different chapters, and building your own network of professors who are writing papers. That's what's happening here potentially in Juarez. Experts that are suppliers potentially. That's usually where it starts. That are willing to share information. It's harder when you're working at a Foxconn, or if you're working at a Jabil or a Plexus or something like that. You're not encouraged to go and talk at a venue. But finding people that have the experience, that speak the language, that can travel around and give presentations, I think is really important in new areas, new topics, and doing events that make sense, right? I would say what events are coming up, but that will date this video, and I want this video to be watched many thousands of times for many years. But I will say, in terms of what's coming up next, the easiest way to figure that out is go to smta.org, and there's an events button, and you press it, and it'll tell you exactly what's happening in the next 3 months, 4 months, and you can even filter it and say, hey, what's happening in Guadalajara? What's happening in Juarez? You can look based upon location and chapter and mark your calendars, right? I'll say, this is a really great topic. This is a great event. I know I've been there before. Or there's a speaker that's going from a university giving a topic on AI or whatever. We had a great presentation today on AI for AOI. So these are the types of things that you can go find on the website and go attend. So that's the way I want to answer that question, because I don't want to date it. Okay. Go ahead.
I guess to add to that, one thing that we want to do too is really stay ahead of some of the demand.
Yeah.
Not only just going to looking into different regions, but making sure that we're growing, at the pace that we should be growing at. Yes, a big part of it is bringing education and training and good speakers to these events. But it's what we found here in Mexico too, is a big emphasis is the connection. Yeah. Is getting people out, seeing what's new for products, getting that face to face. The camaraderie of it all and the fellowship of it all. So we're excited to be able to have a place and to create a place and plan events to accomplish those things.
Okay. Great. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.